This replacement grip, for example, is about $9, whereas this packet of 3 overgrips was only about $4. If you do this, that's going to lead to a huge problem. It's actually going to mess up everything. Now, a very common mistake is when players do this, for example. They kind of wrap around right there and keep going, and that's going to lead to disaster later on. Hey there guys, back with another video. Today I'm going to explain to you the difference between a replacement grip and an overgrip. I have my racket here, and I chose the size number 3 for the grip, which is the thickness, the size of the thickness of the grip. Size number 3, it's 4 3/8. Size number 2, which is 4 1/4, is too thin for me. And size number 4, which is 4 1/2, is too thick. So I like to use 4 3/8, which is a medium size, and I probably would recommend most people to use a 4 3/8 racket. Regardless of which grip size you use, whenever you add a replacement grip, it will add thickness to it. And you have to use a replacement grip on your racket. Otherwise, you would be playing with the wood on your hand and would cause blisters and problems. You need a soft feel on your hand, and you have to add a replacement grip. This is one example of a replacement grip. As you can see, it says right here, replacement grip. I like to use sort of a thin replacement grip because I also put a overgrip on top of that, which is something very similar to a replacement grip, except a lot thinner and usually a lot less expensive. 3 for $4 and 1 for about $7 to $15 sometimes. They can go that high. In order to not spend too much money and keep my grip clean, because no matter what you use, it will get dirty. And even if you don't use the white color, if you use a black, it still will get dirty. It won't look as dirty as a white color or any other color for that matter, but it will get dirty regardless. And not only that, it starts to lose the softness, the soft feel to it, which starts to give you blisters and hand problems. So I like to keep my racket pretty fresh, and I change the overgrip about every 2 weeks. Whereas the replacement grip, I change it every 6 months. Every racket is an octagon, so it's not a round grip. It has these edges which allow you to feel the racket in your hand, and you can distinguish from the different grips. Grips, I'm talking about the way you hold the racket, like the continental grip, the semi-western grip, etc. In order for me to feel which grip I'm really holding, I need to feel those grooves on my hand. And when you add a overgrip on top of your replacement grip, the grooves get a little bit less pronounced, and so you feel them a little less. Which is why I never put on my racket more than one overgrip. So let's say you have a racket that has a very thin grip size, for example 4 1/8, which is the smallest size out there, and you want to make it thicker. Well, you can add a replacement grip first. Well, you need to add a replacement grip so you're not playing with the wood on your hand. And then every time you put an overgrip around it, you will end up with a very round grip. I personally don't like it because I like to feel those edges to know exactly what grip I'm holding. But some players like it because ultimately it's all about preference. What you like might be very different from what someone else's likes, and that doesn't mean that one is right and one is wrong. Whatever you like, that's probably the best thing to do for you. Also, I mentioned that replacement grips are more expensive than overgrips. So you don't want to put two over grips on your handle rather than a replacement grip and an over grip, because the over grips are so thin that you'll probably get blisters, or the racket will feel too stiff, too hard on your hand, and you want to feel a certain softness to it, which is why a replacement grip is essential. And over grips are cheaper, but they're not necessary. Some players like to just use a replacement grip and that's it. The first thing you do is you remove this sticker, which allows you to hold the over grip in place. So we're going to remove this first.
And it'll start to unwrap around. If you have a very old over grip that you haven't switched in a long time, this part might not be as smooth as I'm doing it right now. And in fact, it'll start to get really messy really quick. But do your best to get rid of every piece of the over grip. But the good news is that since we're replacing both the over grip,
anyways, so here we're getting rid of the replacement grip. And as you can see, I have not changed this replacement grip in so long that it already has a layer of this glue type stuff that comes on the bottom of the replacement grip. And that is a shame, because if I had done this sooner, I would not have to deal with that. And this is actually good that this is happening, because you do want to get rid of every single piece of it. I'm gonna have to use my teeth here
to get a little bit of a cut, and then unwrap this whole layer of little plastic residue. So you just force it off. I have to use my teeth again. Give it a break, and then just try to unwrap everything.
Oh, I always think of them as a wood color or wood material, but this is actually plastic. So in any ways, this is called the butt cap, and if you needed to replace the butt cap for some reason, if it was broken, for example,
here's the perforated opener. Okay, like this. Okay. Now,
make sure that you get this plastic off. It's just on the bottom part, as you can see. I'll take everything off, leaving only the replacement grip. Now it's ready to put on. As you can see, there are no more plastic left. This is a layer of glue that is not going to come off. So I'm not going to try to, get rid of that. That's the way it comes. And every overgrip and replacement grip comes with this sticker strip that you will use to secure the overgrip or replacement grip once it's wrapped around the racket. Every replacement grip or overgrip come with the branding. For example, this is a Prince, and as you can tell, it says Prince right there. So I'm going to start here at the at the very bottom, and this is very important. Right here at the beginning is probably one of the most important parts of putting on a replacement grip. You don't want to start here, for example, and leave some space. You want to start at the very, 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 very bottom of the butt cap, and then when you want to secure the wrap with your finger as you wrap around, and you want to make sure to keep on that same line exactly, so that it all comes out very even, very nicely, with no gaps. And once you get to the to the starting point in one whole lap, you don't want to start going downwards so quickly. You want to make sure that you get at least a quarter of the way without going down first, which will make the grip a little bit thicker, but that's okay, because we don't want to have any mishaps once the grip is on. And once you do that, then you start to go down, some players say that you should go this way, and some players say that you should go this way. It's a preference, in my opinion, whatever you like. So today I'm gonna change things up, and I'm gonna go the other way that I usually go, because I like to put the grips on really fast. I don't really care too much, and I don't really feel any difference at all, like I said. So again, once I get over the first lap, I just give it a little more room before I start to go down, and leave a very small space between this and this. Now, a very common mistake is when players do this, for example. They kind of wrap around right there and keep going, and that's going to lead to disaster later on. When you're playing, it's actually going to create all kinds of problems. So make sure that you go over, even though if it's very little, to go over the grip that you already wrapped with the newly wrapped part. So just keep going down.
Take your time, okay? There's no need to rush, unless you're playing a very serious match and your opponent's waiting. That's why I like to do this before a match. And I don't really like to change my grips once I'm playing. Oh, as you can see, because I did it the other way, the prints ended up upside down. But I don't really care, because this is not going to show anyways, right? I'm going to put an overgrip on top, so I don't really care. Now here is where you would need some scissors, okay, to cut this off, so that you don't end up with all this extra wrap. So some scissors to cut here. I don't have any scissors with me.
So I'm just going to rip it off, like that, which is not the best way to do it. As you can see, you end up with a little bit of an ugly end part. But like I said, I don't care. And make sure you never lose these strips. These are very important because they secure the grip in place.
Patience is the name of the game. Now you end up with a lot of trash after putting on these grips. So make sure that you keep all that trash in place so that it doesn't end up flying away and you have to run for it and pick it up and stuff.
Then I just wrap around like this. Let's go with a very thin look, just like that. Okay, so that's how you replace the replacement grip. Okay, so once you have your replacement grip, you might be good to go, because some people just prefer the replacement grip and no overgrip. But I'm gonna put on an overgrip. There's a plastic layer on top of the grip. Make sure you don't grip it like this. As you can tell, there's a bit of a flap here that you pull, and then look, you need to get rid of this plastic, okay? With a little bit of glue here, and I like to use that glue to start there. So I'm gonna start right here, and this time I'm gonna go the way I like to go, because on this wrap I went this way. Now I'm gonna go this way, which I prefer to do because, like I said, I don't really feel a difference between one or the other. That's going to lead to a huge problem. It's actually going to mess up everything. So you want to start as low as you can without going to the bottom part. Still going around the sides of the octagon. Just like that. And make sure you give it a nice pull when you're doing this. Remember, here, don't start going immediately down. Go a little bit above the first layer, and then once you get that
secure, you can start to go down, leaving a very small, thin layer so that it doesn't get too thick. And I don't know if you noticed, but I'm pulling with some force to make sure it's thin and not going to unwrap. Again, here you would need scissors to make it look pretty, but since I don't have any, I'm just going to pull it off and break it. And again, don't lose this sticker. Very important, this strip. Take off those little things. I'm going to pick up all my trash, guys. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave the court dirty. That's not the kind of player I am. Although the wind's making everything a little harder for me, but that's fine.
And then wrap around here. And there we go. Okay, and that covers the difference between a replacement grip and overgrip. And also I showed you how to put it on. I will mention this because it's important. If you have a racket that you haven't used in years and it's been sitting in a basement somewhere, and then you take it out to play, a lot of times the replacement grip or overgrip, whichever the case, has melted into the racket, literally. and created this residue that is very, very sticky and very messy. And if you play with that racket, it'll start to melt into your hand and leave your hand so dirty that it's so hard to get it off, and it's very messy. It's a black type of residue that will mess up your clothes or your your shorts or whatever. Like whatever you touch is going to get really messy. So in that scenario, if you have a racket that you haven't used in a long time, the grip might still look good, but I would replace it. I would replace it because it might start to, again, melt as soon as you start playing with the heat, or with your hand being kind of hot. It starts to melt it, and you will have a mess in your hand and a mess on your clothes, and it's going to be actually even harder to take that grip off the racket to replace it, because it's going to be really stuck to the racket frame. So in that scenario, you just have to clean it, take your time, maybe use some kind of spatula that doesn't scratch your racket, maybe like maybe some kind of plastic spatula type tool. And that's really the worst case scenario in terms of grips, the one I just explained, where the grip is so old that it starts to melt on the racket, which is why it's important to change that replacement grip at least every 6 months, so that your racket never loses its composition. I hope it's useful for your tennis experience, and yeah, that's all, guys. Catch you on the next one.